Hey, Shalom, Shalom. It's the brother Abayba from the DC Church coming at you, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, being whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Bashim, meaning in the name, Rekal, meaning spirit, Kodash, meaning holy. These are the names and the powers that I come to in order to profess the 100% truth, and Lord's will seal the elect's fate. Shenya Kabak, Gawala Rakab, Zakayana Ba'aith, meaning double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS in these times, whom the Heavenly Father had enlisted the 100% truth to, and Shalom, Wabarakim, Labakarim, Shayasha Allah, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. And to the men out there that's pushing this word in sincerity and in truth to you, I say Shalom, Wabarakim, Thumb, peace and blessings be upon you. Now, as promised, I said I would make a video wrapped around the concept of belief, which, real quick, just want to do this, belief, all right. Belief is a noun, all right, so it's a person, place, or a thing. In this case, it is a thing. And it says confident repose in a person or thing. Now let's go through where repose means. All right, let me see this real quick. My fault. Look up. Repose means rest, peace. All right, confident peace in a person or a thing, faith in a religion, okay? Now, belief, it says to hold dear, esteem, trust, right? Trust, it says to care, desire, love, and the meaning, conviction of the truth of a proposition or alleged fact without knowledge. This is very important because this is essentially the mindset that we have to acquire in order for us, again, to shape and mold this world into the outcomes that we personally believe would benefit us most, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Now, the reason why this is important is, just like I said before in a video that I made previously, that what you personally believe, when you have a preposition or a proposition, or a conviction to believe in an outcome that's not even necessarily there yet, or not having the knowledge of how something is going to transpire, but when you believe that it's going, you have goodwill and good faith in the fact that those things would transpire. Excuse me. That's my throat, man. Those things, when those things do happen and transpire, that it will happen in a way that's positive and conducive toward, uplifting you in the faith and so on and so forth, to really just benefit you collectively. That mindset is the most valuable mindset that a man can acquire. All right. And especially as an Israelite man whom has the chance to, worship and serve the only and true living power, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Now, that same mindset, and I want to read this one more time. It says conviction of the truth of a proposition or an alleged fact, all right, without knowledge. So the things that we believe in are essentially alleged, all right? And I want to do a little bit more, just to be a little bit more definitive. Let's see what the word alleged means. Supposed, all right? So it's not necessarily entirely there, okay? So if you believe in an outcome that's not necessarily entirely there, or it's entirely it's definitively through, fact, is definitively the outcome, but you believe that it is, your belief is legitimately molding and shaping what the events that will essentially occur. All right. Now it says sometimes used to include the absolute conviction or certainty which accompanies knowledge. All right, now it's again, it's two and two. So you can have belief that's based on faith, and then you can have belief that's based on fact. Now we have both. We have, and the thing is, the belief that's based on fact and that's based on proof, it actually enhances the belief that's backed on faith. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because there are situations that has happened in our lives that has caused us to believe even more. So when we've had situations that happen where we didn't have the foreknowledge of how something is going to happen in favor of us. But then we actually go through these trials, and then it does actually happen to favor us. Once you come out of that trial, you have gained more belief, meaning more trust in the Heavenly Father. Now that trust, because again, there's two different levels to trust. There's one that's physical and there's one that's spiritual. And the one that's physical is based on the fact. Now we have evidence to prove that, yes, the Lord has done things to benefit us. And even when the outcome seems dim and when things don't necessarily seem like they're going to work in your favor, or these things are going to happen in the way that you personally think it's going to happen, even when those factors are present, you still believe that it will, through spirit and power and goodwill in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. And that will essentially formulate the outcome. Now, going back to this is a book of Maccabees, and this is just one example of the many examples of when individuals, primarily our foreparents, have believed in the Heavenly Father. Again, that word belief has and didn't necessarily know the outcome of the situation, but knew within themselves and had conviction that they are going to be delivered by way of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. Now that belief is the key factor, and that belief is more important than the physical belief. The spiritual belief is more important than the physical belief. Anybody can physically believe, because if 2 + 2 is 4, you can quantify that. You can put 4 things down and you can put the 2 of them aside and 2 of them aside and put them together and say collectively, this is 4. You have proof that that is true. But the main belief that matters is the belief that comes without the foresight and without, the physical evidence to prove it. Okay. Now, when we have, we got to go to Romans, I believe it's 11, verse 12 or chapter 12. No. I'm tripping. Hebrews chapter 11. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So, and when you also, substance means to stand under or understand, right? But when you also think of the word substance, it means like almost kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me use the resources that we have to help ballpark the words I'm looking to define this substance. Let's go real quick. All right, define part of essence. That's a noun, person, place, or thing. It says that which is owned, one's own. It says one's substance or property, being essence of nature of anything, right? So essentially like a physical matter, right? So when you think of faith is it's not a physical matter, but it's a spiritual matter, right? It's almost like in other words, it's kind of like a cup of oil, like faith is an actual substance of things hoped for. So when you hope for things, you are creating this substance, right? And when you create this substance, it says the evidence of things not seen, for by it the elders have obtained a good report. So by having this oil, by having this substance, you obtain a good report, okay? Because now with that substance, you can fulfill something, all right? You can pour into something. That substance that you have is poured into belief, all right? Faith and belief are essentially synonymous, but faith is that substance that you're pouring into your belief. So again, and you got to think about it like this. When you can physically, tangibly see something, it's easy for you to believe. So the substance is already there. Therefore, that substance is already poured into your belief. But faith, we're drawing from just outright, devotion toward the Heavenly Father. And we've created substance out of that. And we've poured it into our belief. Okay. Now it says, this is the main point. I want to grab this point. Verse 6, it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. So you need a specific substance within your vessel, within your spirit, in order for you to please the Heavenly Father. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, although they have not already seen him, right? And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So the only way to prove that you are diligently seeking the Heavenly Father is to prove through your belief, okay? And a lot of times our belief is going to come based off the things that we cannot physically see, okay? Which enhances the fact that we actually do believe in Yahweh Shema Shai. Now, one second. I'm going to go back to this. And now that we have, we have a bit of context behind this topic, I'm going to get into a story that really moved my spirit in a positive direction. And I think is very conducive to making the point that, when you personally believe an outcome, you can legitimize the outcome happening in that manner if it's backed by Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. Because you could say, and again, these things can't be vain. It has to be things that are pertaining to very spiritual events. You can't say, well, I believe one day I'm going to be a billionaire in Babylon. And then, somehow, some way it happens, and that's not what it means. That's not what belief is. Belief is that we believe in outcomes transpiring or happening in the sense of us being built in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai. Because again, your belief has to be within reason. And what is the reason? The reason is Proverbs chapter 30:1, 30:8, where it says, the Lord is not going to feed us too much, and he's not going to feed us too less, so that we don't deny him, and that, and furthermore, we're not too full, we deny him, and furthermore, we're not, starved and take the Lord's name in vain. That's a rough paraphrase. Now, this is 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1. It says, then his son Judas, called Maccabees, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him. And so did all that held with his father, and they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. And he got his people great honor, and put on breastplates as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him. And he made battles, protecting the host with his sword. And his axe, he was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, roaring for his people's prey. Roaring for his prey. So it says, for he pursued the wicked and sought them out, and burnt up those that vexed his people. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for the fear of him, and all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his axe, and his memorial is blessed forever. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel, so that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish. Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together, and a great host out of Samaria, to fight against Israel, right? And it's the main point. It says, which things when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him, and so he smote him and slew him. And many also fell down slain, but the rest fled. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius' sword also. Wait, hold on. I want to make sure I'm going to the right. It might have been 4. Gorgias, and he shoot himself in the plain, 3,000 men. Nevertheless, they need to have Salakia. I was kind of reading in the wrong place, but this is 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 1. It says, then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in the camp of the Jews, and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Okay, so it says, now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that they might smite the king's army, which was at Emmaus, right? It says, while as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp, and the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas. And when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains. For he said, these fellows flee from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas shewed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor sword to their minds. Right? Might have been tired. They getting pursued by all these men. Like, God damn, yo, I'm just trying to rest. They're in constant turmoil. And it said what? It says, and they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed and compassed round about with horsemen. And these were experts of war. This is the main point. So now we see the physical. Okay. Now the flesh, of course, it's subjected to being wicked. It's subjected to being fearful. Okay. So innately the flesh is going to automatically feel in fear. All right. It says, then Judas to the men that were with him, then said Judas to the men that were with him, fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. So again, now we have a situation to where we have to believe in an outcome that may not necessarily seem like it's present, but we also have to believe based on the previous things that we've seen the Heavenly Father do. So we have belief that's backed up by two factors, the physical and the spiritual. Okay. And when you have belief that's backed up by those two factors, because we have things to reflect on and say, look, the Lord did this. The Lord delivered our people from this. We have something to reflect on to say, this is our power and this is how our power works. Okay. And then we also have the factor of saying, all out, no matter what, I believe that the Heavenly Father is going to allow things to work in favor of us because we are his servants. Okay. When you have those two mixtures of faith and belief, inevitably the Heavenly Father is going to work in favor of you. Okay. But really in favor of his will. All right. Because now we have, and because of this belief, because of this formulated belief with those two factors, with all these ingredients, right? You are legitimately molding and shaping the outcome to what you perceive it to be. Okay? And that is the power that we have as being children of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and children of the light. Okay? Now I said, remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now, therefore, let us cry unto the heaven, if peradventure the Lord will have mercy upon us and remember the covenant of our fathers and destroy this host before our face this day, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivereth and saveth Israel. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets, so they joined battle, and the heathen being discomfited fled into the plain. Howbeit all in the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them unto Gazera, and unto Jamnia, so that there were slain of them upon 3,000 men. Okay, this done, Judas returned again with his host, pursuing them, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoils, insomuch as this battle is before us, right? And Gorgias and his host are here by us in the mountains, but stand ye now against our enemy and overcome them, and after this ye may boldly take the spoils. And Judas was yet speaking these words, and then appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight, they fled everyone into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver and blue silk and purple of the sea and great riches. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven, because it is good because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Okay, now you see the byproduct of belief. When you believe, you get, first and foremost, you get the spiritual outcome, then you get the physical outcome. Because not only did they overthrow the host, but the